and gentlemen. On behalf of the staff and students of McCloskey Middle School, we would like to welcome you to the 17th Annual Middle School Debate Finals. Our ELA teachers began these debates back in 1998 as a way of promoting critical thinking, public speaking, and team building skills among the grade 8 students. Students worked hard to improve these skills throughout this school year. You are about to see all of these skills put to the test. Debate involves arguing a proposition. A proposition is a statement that can be argued with equal effectiveness from either an affirmative or negative position. About 2 weeks ago, students were placed into groups given this year's proposition, randomly assigned one of these propositions, and began to prepare these arguments. After 12 days of research and practice, student teams participated in preliminary rounds. After the preliminary rounds, the 3 highest scoring affirmative teams and the 3 highest scoring negative teams have moved forward to these finals. These are the teams you will be seeing tonight. Here's the proposition the teams will be arguing tonight. Science and technology have been used for the benefit of humanity. Remember, the affirmative team will agree with the proposition, while the negative team will disagree with the proposition.
Here's how the debate finals will work. There are 2 parts to tonight's program, the extended rounds and the all-important final lightning round. Once you have seen the 3 extended round matches, the 2 highest scoring teams of the evening will move on to the second part, the lightning round. In the all-important lightning round, the 2 teams will be presented with a completely new and unfamiliar proposition. The 2 teams will then be assigned a position, affirmative or negative, and go head-to-head in a single winner-take-all match. The winning team in the lightning round match will be the 2014 McCloskey Middle School Debate Championship team. Each debate match consists of 3 sections, the opening, the rebuttal, and the closing. The affirmative and negative teams argue each section in an alternating manner, with the affirmative team always going first. In the extended round, each team is allowed 1 minute and 45 seconds for the opening and rebuttal sections, and 1 minute and 30 seconds for the closing section. There is a 1-minute pause after both the opening and rebuttal sections. Teams use that 1-minute pause to quickly revise their arguments, hoping to capitalize on any mistakes made by the opposing team. The judges score the debate according to various categories, ranging from overall logic and persuasiveness of the team's argument to drama and professionalism displayed by the team. The winning team of each match will be announced at the conclusion of that match, but for the purpose of maintaining suspense, specific scores will not be given so that no team will know whether it has made it to the all-important lightning round.
Before we start, we want to thank some important people without whom these debates would have been impossible. First, thanks to Kathy Chauvin, our backstage teams manager. Thanks to our student timers, Jenna Daigle and Sean Morrissey. Thanks to Molly O'Meara and Ethan Borges and Troop, who are maintaining communication between the auditorium and the green room. Also, thanks to Uxbridge Public Access Television. They're here recording the debates this evening. Look for the program to be shown on the Uxbridge Public Access channel several times during the summer. Now let's introduce our judges for tonight's finals. Our first judge is familiar to all of us here this evening. He is McCloskey Middle School Principal, Dr. Richard Drolet.
Our second judge is Kelsey Cartwright. Ms. Cartwright recently graduated from Worcester State University with a Bachelor's of Science in Nursing. She plans to pursue her nursing career as a pediatric nurse.
And finally, our esteemed head judge, McCloskey Middle School Grade 8 Science teacher, Miss Diana Doherty. So without further delay, let's introduce our first match. In one moment.
Representing the affirmative position for the first match is the team of Nick Lennox, Morgan McCarty, Jack Schreiber, and Chris McCloskey.
Representing the negative position is the team of Katie Rooney, Colleen McNamara, Emma Craich, and Cassie Lowe.
And actually, Nick Quigley is also filling in. Okay, the first match is going to start the way these debaters are quite familiar with it, with the affirmative team presenting its opening argument. The affirmative and the negative have 1 minute and 45 seconds to present their opening case. Affirmative, timing starts whenever you start talking.
First off, I would just like to thank the judges and the audience for being here, and the opposing negative team. One of the most important, as the affirmative team, we believe that science and technology has been used for the betterment of humanity. One of the most important pieces of technology ever created is medical technology. This technology, according to issues.org, has eradicated many deadly diseases such as smallpox. Without that, a lot of us would be dead. And according to NIN.gov, this technology has saved millions of lives around the world. But everyone should already know that even the simplest Band-Aid is technology. And no one can say that they haven't used a Band-Aid or gotten a vaccine at the doctors. NIN.gov also says that the drugs given to medical patients help open arteries and dissolve blood clots, enabling a faster recovery.
To finish what my colleague was saying, according to ioc.unesco.org, in 2004, our second point is the prediction of natural disasters. According to the ioc.unesco.org, in 2004 in Sumatra, there was a magnitude 9.1 earthquake that caused 230,000 deaths. Then in 2006, the first buoy was deployed in the 8th Pacific. Then in 2011, in Honshu, Japan, there was a magnitude 9 earthquake causing 15,270 deaths. So, the buoy saved 214,730 lives. Our second point is from CSA about genetically modified food.
Okay, affirmative, thank you. Next up is the negative team, 1 minute, 45 seconds. Opening argument.
Good evening, and welcome to the 2014 8th grade debate. We would like to thank the judges for coming and the opposing team. Today, we, the negatives, will be discussing how science and technology have not been used for the betterment of society. Today, in the 21st century, it's obvious that science and technology have been advancing, but what you don't know is the dangerous impact it has on us. Technology and science can change our bodies and our minds, and even kill us. But what we risk it anyways, and for what? Wouldn't you like to know what's in the poison?
Our first point is about social media. Kids, teens, and adults are constantly checking their phones for new updates. According to KPS.org, some even believe kids are acting like they have OCD. They can't even go to dinner without their phone by their side. And do you know what happens on social media? Cyberbullying. I mean, come on. Would you really choose your phone over your family and bully someone over the internet? Our second point is about jobs. According to NBC News, by 2013, there was 1.2 million industrial robots working worldwide. Just imagine. If you're thinking this is a good thing, you're dead wrong. Machines are replacing us. We will go bankrupt. I mean, how will we support ourselves? How will we support our family? And now, our last point, air pollution. A chemical called chlorofluorocarbons, or CFCs, are used in everyday appliances like air conditioners, inhalers, spray cans, hair care products, and more. Did you know that the Environmental Protection Agency is aware that the ozone layer can rebuild itself? However, the rate at which the ozone is being destroyed is 60% faster than it is being rebuilt. This can cause serious damage.
Thank you, negative. At this point, both teams have 1 minute to revise their arguments for the all-important rebuttal section. At this point, the affirmative team will deliver its rebuttal to the negative team's opening points.
Okay, so the negative team addressed the situation of cyberbullying. Well, have you ever heard the saying, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me? People don't know the difference from good criticism and hate. And here's the definition of cyberbullying. The use of electronic communication to intimidate and threaten the victim, according to bullying.org. Well, is that states that 43% of teens say they've been cyberbullied. But do you know their definition of cyberbullying? And the negative team also stated that technology has decreased the amount of jobs available for people. Well, have you ever thought of how many jobs technology has created for people? Think of how many jobs there were before technology, before computers, before other technology machines. Now think of how many jobs there are because of technology. So, the affirmative team thinks that that argument is invalid. And the negative team also stated that pollution is very deadly to the environment and can kill. Well, pollution doesn't directly kill humans according to WHO.int. And China's cutting pollution percentage by 20% in the next 5 years, according to Reuters.com. And what enables them to cut pollution percentage? Technology. Another example of how it's enhancing humanity. And technology and science enables us to solve the pollution conflict, as I just stated with the China situation. And to get rid of pollution, we could just take away everything technology. We could go back to the Stone Age to suit your needs of cutting pollution.
Thank you, affirmative. The negative team has 1 minute, 45 seconds to rebut the opening arguments of the affirmative team.
Okay, so the affirmative team came up here and told you how medical advances were because of technology. Well, according to debatewise.org, they're creating all these antibiotics that are creating for these cures are creating superbugs that are more deadly and more resistant. According to NPR.org, 23,000 people are dying from these resistant superbugs. Is that really what we want? And they said that technology can help prevent natural disasters. They're not preventing natural disasters. They are still occurring. They are just predicting when they're going to happen. They can't stop them. Now, let's go back to our points. Now, we talked about cyberbullying. Well, did you know that according to the cleanstate.org, that 4 out of 5 mental/physical distress and panic comes from cyberbullying? 4 out of 5 students get that. Is that really what we want to cause for students? And people who are addicted to technology because it's such a big drug, according to phoenixhouse.org, their brains look identical to brains of drug and alcohol abusers. Is that really the type of brains we want to see in students or in people today? No. And did you know that according to EHHI.org, that half of all skin cancers are from outdoor air pollution? They talked about China. That's China. We are here in the U.S., other side of the globe. No, they can't talk about that because that's all the way over there. We're not going to go there. We're here. We're staying where we are. And according to the ozonehole.org, when the ozone creates a big enough hole, 2/3 of the world population are going to get some type of skin cancer.
Okay, thank you for at this point, another minute clause for the teams to revise the arguments for their close. Okay, and that's the 1 minute clause. Now we're at the closing section, which is 1 minute and 30 seconds. In my affirmative timer starts when you start speaking.
Judges, thank you again for taking your time out of your day to judge our debate, and thank you, negative team, for your debate. Our team's main points were medical technology, prediction of natural disasters, and genetically modified food. First off, for our first point, we said it is one of the most important pieces of technology ever created. Without this, you don't know, maybe anyone in the audience, how would you like it if we didn't have technology? You all could be dead right now without it. Do you all go to the doctors and get vaccines occasionally every 4 years, 2 years, whatever it is? And then our second point, predicting natural disasters. The negative team never directly rebutted this point. So they never said that. So the predicting natural disasters was, would you rather be here and have a natural disaster happen, us not knowing about it, or would you rather have the technology to predict when this is going to happen, and then we can be safe from this? Then our third point, genetically modified food. There's becoming drought resistance for this. So if we went through a drought, we have the food still. Then the negative team really didn't directly address any of our points. So, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm going to remind both teams to use the microphones because the camera can't get that sound. The negative team. Close.
First, we'd like to again thank the judges and the opposing team for attending the grade 8 debate. But secondly, we'd like to get back to our main points. Now, clearly technology hasn't always been used for the betterment of society. I mean, now technology is taking away jobs. Like we mentioned in the opening, by 2013, 1.2 million industrial robots will be entering the workforce. And that was just last year. Imagine how many robots are entering the workforce this year. I don't know about you, but our team agrees. When we start working in a few years, we don't want to have to worry about losing a machine to our job. Losing our job to a machine. And if the chemicals we use today are destroying the ozone layer, a layer that's been present in the atmosphere for millions of years, just think about what those chemicals are doing to us when we step outside and breathe them in. And people wonder why air pollution kills more people than breast and prostate cancer combined. And now kids are suffering from disorders because of social media and technology. Also mentioned in the opening was a quote. Kids are acting like they have OCD. They can't go to the dinner table without having a phone at the table. And kids are probably spending more time on their phone and social media websites than talking to their own family. I mean, really, do we really want to raise a generation on the belief that technology is more important than your own family? Our team recognizes that science and technology have helped some people, but to lose our health, our air, and even our job, and get disorders because of technology is really outrageous. What price are we really willing to pay to make things easier for all of us?
Thank you, both teams. It'll take some time for judges to tell me. The judges are close to being ready to announce this match, and I'll turn my microphone on.
The winner of the first round is the negative team.
The teams are going to sit in the reserved area. The teams are going to sit in the reserved area. Okay, I think we're ready for the second match of the three matches of the evening. Representing the affirmative position of this match is the team of Riley Malone, Jill Sylvia, Jared Creighton, and Mia Zellman.
Representing the negative position is the team of Dylan King, Eric Lopes, Grace DeMarco, and Emily Baca.
Okay, at this point, both teams are getting seated, and as usual, the affirmative team is going to present its 1 minute and 45-second opening, and the timer will start when the first person starts speaking. So you guys are...
Alright, so first up, I'd like to thank the judges for their time and for coming to this year's 8th grade debate. Now, science and technology is a very controversial topic as to whether it can be used for the betterment of humanity or not. But our team agrees that science and technology have definitely benefited us a lot more than it's hindered us. I mean, think about it. We have evolved so much from the Stone Ages to modern time. And why is that? Technology. Which brings me to our three main points on how technology benefits us today. Our first point is on how technology is being used for school purposes. And our second point is about medicine. And our third point is on assistive devices and prosthetics. Now, getting into our first point, many schools today have utilized science and technology because they realize its advantage. And according to HuffingtonPost.com, over 95% of students and parents agree that high-speed internet provides a significant advantage in the classroom. And LeadCommission.org says that 96% of teachers believe that the integration of technology in schools is important. And according to 280.gov, all careers use technology in some way, so it's better to introduce it while kids are still in school.
Our second out of our three main points is prosthetic and assistive devices. According to amputee-coalition.org, about 41 million Americans have some type of prosthetic product. Out of those 41 million Americans, 2,460,000 of these are military veterans. According to chsharing.org, approximately 38 million Americans have hearing impairments. How do we help these people? Hearing aids. Our last main point is medicine. According to skincancer.org, 1 in 5 Americans will get skin cancer in their life. But luckily, with the improvement in technology, treatment for skin cancer has risen 77% between 1992 and 2006. According to patient.go.uk, it is estimated that about 24 million Americans have asthma or chronic bronchitis. But luckily, inhalers save millions of these lives. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, affirmative. At this point, the negative team will present its opening argument.
I would like to start off to thank the audience and judges for coming to our debate. Now, we strongly disagree that science and technology benefited for humanity for these points. My first point is pollution. Now, according to worldwildlife.org, more than 1 billion people don't have access to clean water, and 2.4 billion people don't have good sanitation, mostly due to pollution. Also, air pollution causes chronic respiratory disease, heart disease, lung cancer, and many other things, which is all caused by cars, fossil fuels, energy plants, and much more. My second point is that we're destroying the ozone. Now, it just takes one atom of chlorine and it destroys 100,000 ozone particles, according to nationalgeographic.com. And according to climatesite.org, the 3% of UV rays that gets via our ozone cause skin cancer and sunburn. Imagine it 20% or even 10%. Skin cancer would be a common thing.
Okay, our third point is biological warfare, which is creating a disease in a lab to use as a weapon of war. And according to healthresearchfunding.org, here are some pros. It's cheaper than nuclear and chemical weapons, and it spreads quickly, so it affects a wide area. You think that's a good thing? I don't think so. And our fourth point is we're replacing people's jobs with machines. Each year, 2 million jobs are lost to machines. That's enough to give everyone in Boston 4 jobs, according to Converge.org. And Oxford researchers say in 20 years, 45% of jobs will be automated. Thank you.
Thank you both teams for that opening. 1 minute pause while the teams revise their arguments for the rebuttal. In this time, I want to recognize Sean Morrissey and Jenna Daigle for providing our timing tonight. Now we're at the all-important rebuttal stage, in which each team will try to rebut the opening arguments of the other team. Affirmative is first. 1 minute, 45 seconds. When you start speaking.
Negative team brought up the point of pollution and the water and the ozone. Well, according to yosemite.epa.gov, by 2015, any products that kill the ozone must be labeled. And did you know 51% of people carpool with a friend or family member, according to statisticbrain.com? And according to electricdrive.org, electric car sales rise 15% each month for the past 3 years. 15% each month for the past 3 years. What does that tell you? We're actually doing something about our ozone. We're not just sitting around and letting it go by. We're making strides to do things about it. Also, according to NASA.gov, in 1990, the Clean Air Act mandated that NASA and NOAA monitor the ozone hole. And according to atmosphere's ozone is no longer declining because concentrations of ozone-depleting chemicals stopped increasing and are now declining. Also, bring up pollution in water. America is helping other countries that can't afford this. We're taking strides and we have medicine, we have technology to help the other people. Technology taking jobs. According to Slate.com, more bank tellers, more bookkeepers, and more sales clerks in 2009 than 1999, despite the automation. Now, more banks are opening because of more automation. It's less expensive. So, since more banks are opening, that means more jobs for bank tellers and bookkeepers. Also, they brought up biological warfare. Well, it's human nature to fight. This is not technology's fault. If we didn't have technology, we'd obviously find another way to fight. That's just in our human nature. And according to BlackOuts.com, penicillin saved 100 million lives in the 20th century. We can fight these diseases. And according to OneOrg.com, 9.7 million are on life-saving HIV medications. This medicine is helping us, not destroying us.
Thank you, affirmative. At this point, the negative team has a minute and 45 seconds to respond to the opening arguments of the affirmative team.
Now, the affirmative team stated that computers are connecting the classrooms and are helping education. However, behind some of these teachers' backs, people are being cyberbullied. 71.9% of students 16 years or older have reported being bullied online. They also stated that prosthetic limbs are helping people who are war veterans. However, how are these wars happening? How are they getting hurt? Now, it is because of things like guns and bombs. And according to the Law Center to Prevent Gun Violence, 30,000 people died and 100,000 people were wounded from non-military use of guns in 2013. And according to Brown University, 6,656 people died in the Iraq and Afghanistan wars combined. That's less than used in domestic cases. Also, according to Vision Concept Entertainment, 65,000 people died in the Nagasaki bombing. How many of those needed prosthetics? Why? Because of those bombs and the technology itself. They also stated that medicine saves lives. But are we so inconsiderate that we're not considering that humans aren't the only lives? 6.77 million animals were used in inhumane experiments in 2013 alone. Now, we also stated earlier that pollution was causing negative effects to people. It also is causing large amounts of animal species to be killed in the Amazon and other areas.
Thank you very much. Negative. There's now a 1 minute pause while each team revises its close based upon what it's heard. Pause. At this point, we're at the closing section of this match, in which the teams will sum up their cases.
Been used for the betterment of humanity. How can it not be? Lives are saved every day with modern technology used in hospitals. And we can all be grateful for vaccines because without vaccines we'd be terrified of getting deadly diseases when right now we think nothing about it. Which brings me to cancer. You have a greater chance of surviving cancer in 2006 than in 1992. And that was only in 2006. Imagine the incredible amount of progress since then. I know secondhand how beneficial hearing aids can be. My teammate, Mia Zellner, can hear muffled voices and some loud noises without her hearing aids. With her hearing aids, everything is much clearer. And thanks to prosthetics, American soldiers who have lost their limbs fighting for our country can remain active. By the way, 2,460,000 soldiers have lost their limbs. Those are just a couple other examples of how technology was used to better humanity. 96% of all teachers believe in the use of technology in schools. Is a negative team claiming all those teachers are wrong? And technology in schools is not just limited to computers. What about calculators, overhead projectors, and pencil sharpeners? The negative team seems a tad bit hypocritical to me. They use technology to better their argument, and most problems caused by technology can be fixed by technology. And finally, I'd like to thank the judges, the timers, and the audience for attending this year's 8th grade debate.
Okay, thank you, affirmative. Now we move on to the close of the negative team.
Once again, we would like to thank the judges for coming and the affirmative team for being a worthy opponent. Now to our first point. Our first point is pollution. Pollution is caused by technology today. Everything from cars to airplanes and things that we use used to travel cause pollution. They turn the beautiful skies that you see outside into dark, cloudy messes. They're not beautiful anymore. Our second point is ozone. 3% of UV rays get through today. So imagine if the ozone was gone. We would be in extreme heat constantly. There would be no escaping it. Now to our third point. Our third point is biological warfare. Biological warfare is using sicknesses created in a lab as weapons of war. Well, it doesn't even sound good. Never mind having to explain it further. To our fourth point. Our fourth point is machines replacing jobs. We need jobs to pay for everyday things. Our houses, food for our families, to take care of pets and feed them and bring them to the vet when they're sick. Well, if machines replace our jobs, we're no longer getting that money that we need to support our family. So why have jobs at all if we're not going to be using them? Thank you.
Thank you, both teams. At this point, the judges will tally their scores. To the decision.
The winner is the affirmative team.
If the teams continue to receive in the reserve section. Okay, we're now on to the final, the third of the extended round matches before the lightning round. And in this match, representing the affirmative position, is the team of Scott Kaler, Ben Eason, Trevor Rafferty, and Jordan Washington.
And representing the negative position is the team of Emily Fernandez, Victoria Zaremes, Evan Goulet, and Nick Coulin.
Okay, at this point, we're in the opening section of this final extended round match. These teams are quite familiar with this process. The affirmative team is going to go first. It has 1 minute and 45 seconds when it begins speaking to outline its basic case. Affirmative, it's up to you.
I would like to thank the judges for taking the time out of their day to be here, and I would also like to thank the audience. We, the affirmative team, believe that science and technology have bettered humanity through communication, transportation, and medication. Without communication, nobody would know what's going on in the world. Who would want a world like that? According to pewinternet.org, 90% of Americans own a cell phone. That's 9 out of 10 people. Without this technology, we wouldn't be able to stay connected with family and friends.
I would like to continue with transportation. So public transportation is a big form of transportation in cities and rural areas. Well, according to American Public Transportation Association, in a study done in 2013, Americans took 10.7 billion trips in that year alone. So now you might think that public transportation is bad for the environment. Well, also according to American Public Transportation Association, public transportation reduces our nation's carbon emissions by 37 million metric tons annually. Now I'd like to continue with chemotherapy. Chemotherapy is the treatment of disease by the use of chemical substances, especially the treatment of cancer by cytotoxic and other drugs. According to a chart located on cancer.gov, chemotherapy increased a person's disease-free survival at 5 years from close to 55% to up to 70%. Also, according to cancer.gov, 88% of people with cancer and used chemotherapy got rid of their cancer and lived their lives cancer-free.
Okay, thank you, affirmative. At this point, the negative team will present its opening argument.
First off, I would like to thank the judges and our team for being here today. Today, we are arguing that science and technology have not, I repeat, not been used by humanity, and we continue to rule the world and humanity every day. Today, our first point is the existence of cyberbullying wouldn't be a problem today if the internet wasn't created. Over 80% of teens use cell phones regularly, making cyberbullying most common, according to dosign.org. And 1 in 4 kids had cyberbullying occur to them, also from dosign.org.
Our second point is, internet is one of the ways teens are learning how to make and take drugs. 105 people die every day from drugs, according to centersofdiseaseprevention.org. Our third point is, we don't even live in a world we can have privacy or do what we want without being tracked. Edward Snowden, an old computer tech for the government, released information stating that the government has been documenting our text messages and web searches on the internet. About 95 million documents have been stored and sold to companies all around the world, according to accu.org. The government can track your location anytime they want, and you cannot turn the services off, according to independent.uk. Also, identity theft is also becoming a big problem in this world.
Continuing on with identity theft, people all over the world can find you, track you, anywhere. Thanks to the internet, this is becoming a gigantic problem in our world. Identity theft is one of the leading causes now for people losing money, people finding identities, people knowing about credit cards. Thank you.
Okay, thank you to both teams for that opening. 1 minute pause while each team revises and prepares for its rebuttal. We're at the rebuttal section of the debate, in which each team will try to reject or weaken the arguments of the opposing team. Affirmative team, whenever you're ready.
I will start by addressing the point of cyberbullying. Most websites provide some kind of block button or ways to protect your information. Listen to this quote from Instagram.com. We provide ways for you to report users, photos, and comments, and encourage you to utilize these tools. They encourage you to utilize these tools. How more clear could they be that you can use this? Regarding medication overdoses, listen to a quote from the renowned Dr. Robert Simon. For things like overdoses on drugs, steroids, and illegal drugs, it's not technology's fault, more of the users. If each of us ought to be free to consume risks that we think are worth taking, shouldn't people have the same freedoms as everybody else? I agree completely. If they think that they want to use these drugs, then they should use them responsibly. Moving on to identity theft. According to First Data Corporation, neural network programs are detecting fraudulent transactions earlier, enabling rapid intervention, and resulting in 40% less fraud per debit card. That's a lot less fraud, I think, using technology. And then technology can also be used to penetrate fraud, but also to prevent and detect it. That's from the IIA Research Foundation. Moving on to people's privacy, they choose to put what they want out there. If they want to put things on social network sites, then they can do that. They don't have to put personal information. And if people want to text, they should say things that are nice and could not get them in trouble with the government. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, affirmative. The negative team has the same time to reject the points of the affirmative team.
First off, I'd like to say, I'd like to know what software else can go blocking now, because Instagram may be just one of the other ones. I'd like to know all the other ones that are blocking this. And also, for medicine, yeah, we've done great things in this world. But where have we gone wrong, though? Leading to one of our points is drugs. 3.5 million people in the United States over the age of 12 have admitted to trying heroin, but learned from the internet, from heroinoverdose.org. If it wasn't for the internet, drugs would be created and spread across the world. A drug learned and started in Russia, called propofol, it rots the flesh. Now in the United States, thanks to the internet. But drugs aren't the only thing that are killing people these days. Cyberbullying. Cyberbullying is bullying used on technology. Without technology right now, the internet, there would be no such thing as cyberbullying. How do you stop that? Leading to depression. 1 in 4 kids these days are having this occur to them. And 11 to 19 children are getting online death threats, according to DoSomething.org. Online death threats. All I have to say about that is, what if that was your kid? Leading to communication, this is the part that hurts me. This is happening right in front of our faces, and we're not stopping it. Families are being ruined. When you think about it, dinner time now. 33% of adults are using their phones at dinner time. What is this? This is time we should be cherishing with our family. Moments. We don't memorize every single text that we send. We remember the good times with our family. Now, adults are influencing kids to do this too. 33% of teens are losing social skills because of this. Thank you.
Thank you to both teams. Now, Borden. We now have a 1-minute pause. Both teams revising arguments for their close. A 1-minute pause. We're now in the closing section of the debate. 1 minute, 30 seconds for a team. Affirmative goes first. Quiet, please.
In conclusion, our team believes that technology positively affects the world, especially with communication, transportation, and medication. Without technology, we'd be living in the dark. You would be listening and watching this debate in the dark right now. Technology, in a way, is our beacon in the darkness. Technology also helps us communicate with people around the world, or travel them. If you had family living overseas and you wanted to visit them or talk to them, how are you going to do that without technology? You can't. For some people, medication is necessary for living. Without the medication, you would not be able to live. You would just die. The pros of technology outweigh the cons of technology tremendously. And those little problems that technology has is easily fixed by no other than technology itself. Technology is a beautiful thing that goes hand in hand with humans and helps us in our daily lives. Technology continues to evolve and grow day by day and get stronger. And a challenge to the negative team, this microphone is technology. How would the judges or the audience be able to hear your points without this microphone? They wouldn't. Thank you for the opposing team for their challenge, and thank you, judges.
Okay, the negative close.
All right, first off, I would like to reflect on our 3 points that prove that science and technology have not been used to benefit humanity. Our first point is cyberbullying. 80% of teens use their cell phones daily. That causes them more to be teased or bullied online. And it happens to 1 in 4 kids online. Our second point is that people use the internet to learn, to make, and how to take drugs. People can look up in all these things how to use drugs that can affect them. And 105 people every day die of drug-related substances. Our last point is how internet has negatively impacted people on how other people can get information and personal things about you. And I would like to address that the affirmative team said that this is technology. But I'm pretty sure that everybody can hear me without it.
Challenge is taken, affirmative team. Can you all hear me? Yeah. Thank you. So I'd like to say we effectively won this competition today by using passwords to keep your things safe, but people can hack into your passwords. People have videos all the time saying, hack this, we can get into your account. We've heard so much about technology tonight and all it has to offer. Well, what about two people looking at each other? Expressing
That's a new sentence, please. Thank you very much. That's the end of that match. Thank you both. And will the judges allow this to announce the score of this last of the extended matches.
The winner of this match goes to the negative team.
Okay, the 4 teams to have their places in the audience. The 12 teams to take their places in the reserve section. At this point, maybe it's, despite my comments about applause, maybe it's time to applaud all 3 matches you saw tonight. And now what the judges are doing is they're trying to tabulate the 2 highest scoring teams that you've seen so far, irrespective of their position, just the 2 highest scoring teams. That they've seen so far. Remember, this is irrespective of what position they argue. It's simply the 2 highest scoring teams. Whenever you're ready, judges.
All right. In no particular order, the 2 teams that will be going to the finals this evening are the teams of Malone, Sylvia, Creighton, and Zellner. Rooney, Crate, Loeb, and McNamara.
For those 2 teams, please come on up. For those 2 teams, please come on up. Teams can sit at tables for a moment now. This will not be their positions, but they're just sitting down for a moment. The teams are being given envelopes that the judges will find in their judging packets. These envelopes contain the lightning round proposition. Don't forget, that's a proposition that, unlike the last 12 days of preparation, these teams have never heard of or seen before. For that reason, these sections, opening, rebuttal, and close, will be shorter because they can't research facts. They have to go by pure logic and perhaps passion. So at this point, if the teams can open their envelopes, if the judges can open theirs, we'll open ours.
Okay, I'm going to read to you what these people are reading right now. Background information. According to the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, each year in the United States, a staggering 800,000 children, 18 or younger, go missing. The causes are varied: kidnappings by strangers or a non-custodial parent, runaways, murders, or becoming lost. Many children simply vanish and are never seen again, their fates unknown. To address this, some people have proposed that the U.S. government should pass a law requiring that all babies born in the United States have a GPS location and an identification microchip implanted in their bodies at birth. Such a chip would allow a designated government agency to track the location of a missing child and know basic information about his or her identity, family, address, etc. The 2014 lightning round proposition is as follows. Resolved. Given the ongoing tragedy of missing children, the government should protect our youth by requiring the implantation of a GPS tracking and identification microchip into every baby born in America. We will now choose by a flip of the coin which position each of these teams will have for this debate.
Do either team have any questions about what the proposition is? Whoever becomes affirmative will be agreeing that the U.S. government should implant a GPS identification and tracking chip in the bodies of all newborn babies in this country. The negative team will disagree with that proposition. At this point, we're just going to flip the coin, and we're going to ask one team to call it, and they'll get to choose their position if they call it correctly. Okay, so this team gets to choose which position you'd like to argue. The affirmative, you agree, or the negative, you disagree. Okay, this team chooses the negative, the table they're at, and this team will remain here and become the affirmative. Now, these two teams have 8 minutes to develop a brand new case and decide who's arguing which section. In that time, you can go to the bathroom or whatever, get a drink of water, but please try to be back before 8 minutes. Hold these guys, speak to the fire. Thank you. 10 seconds. If the audience can take their seats, if the audience can take their seats, please. Audience, take your seats. Audience, take your seats. That's the 8 minutes. We need to get started. At this point, I think a great round of applause for these two finalist teams is in order. And once again, just to remind you, the teams are arguing for and against the mandatory implantation of GPS/identification chips in the bodies of all babies born in America. And that's what they'll be arguing. Of course, affirmative will agree, negative will disagree. I believe the rounds are 1 minute opening, 1 minute rebuttal, and I think it's 45 seconds close, if I'm not mistaken. At this point, we'll take our seats. And the affirmative team can begin whenever it's ready.
So our team, the affirmative team, definitely agrees that all babies should have microchips implanted in them. I mean, think about all the tragedies that result from those 800,000 children, 18 and younger, lost to kidnapping, running away from home, murders, or just plain lost. And our main points right now are the implanting of microchips could help save their children's lives, help the families regain joy, and help even track the criminal that committed those crimes. All right.
You've all heard of Malaysia Flight 370 that's been missing for almost over 3 months. With the tracking device in these people, we can at least give closure to these people that are worrying about their families. Criminals. We can track these suspected criminals and we can get them off the streets and have people sleep safe at night and not worry while they're in bed. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, affirmative team. Now the negative team will present its opening.
First of all, we would like to thank the judges for taking time out of their day again. We believe that the U.S. government shouldn't pass a law requiring that babies should have GPS chips installed into their bodies. What if it's your first child? You could be hurting your child. What if the surgery goes wrong? Like, seriously, why would you want to do that to your own kid? It could kill your baby. You're risking your child's life. You should create a bedtime for your child if you get the implant. you should create a bedtime and lock your doors when the day's about to end.
Our second point would be what happens to people that are already born? Where does that leave us? And what happens if this technology gets hacked or fails? Then what? Then your technology that you're inventing is completely destroyed. And then how are we testing this? We're risking people's child's lives over this?
Okay, thank you both teams for the opening. There's a brief pause, I believe. Is there a pause in that, Sean? 45 seconds or something? I think there's a 45-second reset. Just do a minute, if you don't mind. At this point, the affirmative team has 1 minute for rebuttal. Go ahead, please.
The negative team brought up a point that insertion goes wrong. What are we, animals? We're not just throwing chips in there and praying it goes right. We have trained professionals who are actually doing this and have jobs in this field. And the negative team brought up the point of locking your doors and having a bedtime. Well, what about people who can't afford locks or security system? There are many people in cities who can't even have this. With this GPS, people can be safe who can't afford security systems. And they also said, what about testing on children? We're not testing on children. We will test on potato sacks or something that doesn't actually matter. And professionals do this. We're not hiring people off the street to just put chips into our brains. And has anyone ever watched Law & Order Special Victims Unit? Because I know I have. 50% of the time, they come there and the children's already dead. Well, how do you stop this? We can implant chips in their brain, and then they can get there, and there's so many lives saved. So many lives. Imagine your child being killed, murdered, or even lost, and you have no idea what happened to them. Thank you.
Okay, thank you to the affirmative team. The negative team has 1 minute. Negative team, you must go. Audience, please.
So the affirmative team comes up here and talks about closure. Well, yeah, we have closure, but if you have the chips in and they find that, yeah, you can find your baby. But what if your baby's dead? What kind of closure are you going to get from that? Seriously. And people always find ways around the law. What if you decide you want to take the chip out? Well, how are you going to find your child then? You won't be able to because they took it out. Your child could be right in your home, but your chip may say they're here. They could be in school. You could be miles away from them. And how much is this going to cost? If families can't afford locks like you say, how are they going to afford this surgery that could cost thousands of dollars to just implement a single chip? People easily can track technology. I mean, people do it all the time today. Seriously, you're going to have people who have GPSs in their phones or in their heads. You can easily track that. Seriously. And how are we going to test it? Like you said, we're going to test on potato sacks. Well, those are different than human child.
Okay, thank you, negative. 1 minute pause while they adjust their closes. We're at the closing section of this lightning round debate. Affirmative, 1 minute.
Okay, so we definitely think that all babies should have this GPS in their heads. I mean, 800,000 children go missing. That's a lot of children. And, I mean, we save so many lives with this GPS, right? I mean, imagine, parents out there, imagine if your children got lost, or murdered, or whatever. Would you want to know they were dead, or would you rather live the rest of your life thinking, oh my God, where are they? Are they even alive? And like, with the GPS, when you do find them, if you do find them, how happy will you be? You will be grateful for this GPS. And without the GPS, all these children are getting lost, and that just disrupts your daily lives. You won't want to go to work. You won't want to do anything. You just want to sit home and be like, oh my God, where's my kid? But with this GPS, everything will be so much easier and so much more relaxing for you, because you could just look down and be like, okay, there's my kid. We're good. Thank you.
Thank you, affirmative. Negative team, 1 minute.
Clearly, we shouldn't implant devices in babies. It can cause infections. Is this foolproof already? Did they test it? And how do we know this won't kill our baby? Do you really want your newborn at risk for death? People can easily hack into the system too. Do you want your child being tracked by predators? What about the people who don't have the chip in them already? What about all of us sitting in this auditorium? What are they going to do about that? Do adults need to go into surgery too? And what if they try to take it out? What if people try to take it out? People try to outwit the law every day, and they do. There's nothing stopping them from trying to take out the chip. And that could hurt them even more. Kids could try to pick at it, and it could cause infection. I mean, there's so many flaws in this. Why would we even try to deploy it? Do we really want to risk it all for an unnecessary device when we can use all the other technology to try to help us find our children who are missing? Thank you.
Thank you to both teams. At this point in time, the judges will determine the 2014 Middle School Debate Championship team. At this point, the judges are ready to announce the 2014 Middle School Debate Champions. They will probably tell us the second place team first, I don't know.
The winning team of the 2014 Middle School Debate Finals is the team of Jared Creighton, Riley Malone.
At this point in time, we'll be rewarding of the gold and silver medals for first and second place teams. Second place first, sure. With something this challenging, there is no shame in second. That is for sure. This is a very difficult event. Let's have a hand for our second place team. And a hand for our winning team.